afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Alexander Cappiello Show, starring me, AC Cappiello. Hope everyone had a safe and happy New Year's. Today is Monday, January 3rd, on this dreary, somewhat snowy day in some parts. Down here in Delaware County, we had a little bit this morning, just a dusting. It's amazing how yesterday was 60 degrees and today was 30 and some snow. But we didn't really get anything. The ground was too warm, so it just melted. But driving all over the area like I did this morning, it was not much really on the ground at all. You know, it's crazy. Some areas got nothing. So that's good. Anyways, E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. Fight, Eagles, fight, score a touchdown, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, hit them low, hit them high, and watch those Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! Final score from that dump of a stadium where railings fall down when fans lean over to greet players at the end of a hard-fought game. Eagles 20. The Redskins 16. What a game. What a game that was. Eagles started out very slow. Down 10-0 early. 16-7 at the half. For some reason, they didn't run the ball much at all in the first half. Couldn't get that established. Taylor Henneke had a great game for them. I mean, he was 27-36 for 247 yards. He was up and down the field in the first half. You know, I didn't understand the defense by our defensive coordinator. But it is what it is. We get the win on a big interception from Rodney McLeod at the end of the game. Jalen Hurts rushed for 44 yards on 7 attempts, whereas he was 17-26 for 214. Once second half rolled around and they started to get the running game going and control the clock. Then that's when the Eagles started to take over. And you kind of knew that it would be tough for Washington. Now, I was one of my wins. I had the Washington Redskins covering the 4.5. The line was 4.5, so I took the Redskins. I thought the Redskins would win the game. They were close, but still won. Still picked them. Still won with the line, so that's a win there. 3-0 in my picks this week. I had the Bengals plus the 5.5 outright. They won. And I had the Cardinals outright, and they also covered the 5.5. So 3-0 this week. And I'll give you my Monday night pick later on. But the Eagles yesterday, I'll tell you what, they fought. They're down. I was very concerned that they would lose that game. I thought it was one of those games where Washington was getting some of their players back. They got their, Heineke back, the regular quarterback. I thought, and the way the Eagles came out and played, I thought that it was going to be a rough day. I was concerned it was going to be a rout. But they hung in there. They hung around, and they did what got them there to begin with. After the Vegas game, they started to run the ball. And they've been running the ball ever since. So from that point on, they were 2-5 after they lost to the Raiders. And they've gone on this streak now where they've gone 7-2. And with a win against Dallas this week, then it looks like they would be playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wild card weekend. There's a lot of different scenarios we're going to go through. But let's go over some of these statistics right now. Boston Scott had 14 carries for 47 yards, 2 touchdowns. As a team, they rushed 34 times for 118 yards. Now, that's the first time in a long time that they haven't rushed for 200 yards or more in a game. Again, going all the way back to the Raiders game. So, I don't know if Miles Sanders was out, so that was tough. So it was tough. I mean, these guys, it's the end of the year. These guys are banged up. Nobody talks about the offensive linemen, the beatings that they give and receive every week. So you gotta expect them to be tired too after the performance that they've put up in the last 2 months. So no matter where the game's being played and what the Redskins' record is, you know it's going to be a tough game down there. They're going to fight you, especially after being embarrassed here a couple weeks back when they had nobody. So it was a good win. I'll take it. And let's beat Dallas next week and on to the playoffs because I want Tampa Bay. I want to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Right now, Tampa is most vulnerable. They got everybody out. They're in disarray. Antonio Brown stripped naked and left the field yesterday in one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my entire life. He'll never play in the NFL again, that crazy nut job. But unbelievable. They survived the scare, Tampa 28-24. Brady, of course, comes down, gets 2 touchdowns late. They win by 4. That was a close call for them. I gotta give Brady and them guys credit. With all the distractions that was going on the sideline and whatnot, to keep your head in that game and not fall short to that slop Jets team who've been playing better the last few weeks, but still they're garbage. So you can't lose to that team. So I'd like to see the Eagles play Tampa Bay because I think they're the most vulnerable of the other 3 or 4 teams. You got the Cardinals that are possibly in the scenario. All the games will be on the road. You got the Cowboys still. You could play them even after playing them this weekend. You could play them in the first round and also the Rams. So there's a lot of different scenarios we'll go over, we'll talk about, which is good. So we have playoff football back here in Philadelphia after a couple-year hiatus. And it's very good. The city needs it, because the teams in the city the last few years have really not really given us anything to root for, and so this is good. This is good for the city. This is good for people like me and some other people out there that are big time Eagles fans. Dallas Goedert 6 catches, 71 yards. Devontae Smith 3 catches, 54 yards. Like I said earlier, Redskins had a good game from their quarterback. Henneke McLaren, their receiver, had 7 catches for 61 yards. Eagles win time of possession 32-27. 3 sacks on the day. Again, their defense played the bend but don't break. I don't like Jonathan Gannon's 10, 15 yards prevent approach. Prevent the big play, too far off the ball. And people are saying that they've only left up 16 points in these last 8 games, the defense, average 16 points a game. That's all fine and dandy when your team's running the ball and you're winning the time of possession every week. And you are playing slot teams with lousy quarterbacks for the most part. You haven't beaten a real good quarterback this whole year, let alone, during the streak. But I don't want to be negative, but that's the truth. That's the honest truth. So, but you got to give them credit. They make stops and they're getting key plays and key sacks at specific times. Josh Sweat came up big yesterday with a key sack. So I mean, we just have to hope that the defense can get a little bit better when playoff time rolls around. And I think if they play Tampa Bay, you're going to think I'm crazy, but I think they could win that game. That's the only game I think they could win on the road. I think they could control the ground game. Tampa's having problems stopping the run. Jason Pierre-Paul's out. Their linebackers, Levante David and Shaq Barrett, are out. Their secondary is a mess. They got injuries all over the place on both sides of the ball. But they have Tom Brady. And when you have 7-time champion, multiple Super Bowl MVP, I think he's 7-time Super Bowl MVP if I'm not mistaken. I mean, Why would you want to face them? Well, I think they're very vulnerable right now. Some disarray. I mean, Brady will keep them in check, but still, I'd rather play them. The other teams just had too high-powered offense right now. I know Tampa Bay, can still put up some points, but their defense is vulnerable. Their offense is a little bit vulnerable. And that's the team I would want to face, and I think we'd have a good shot at beating them. The other three, I think we'd get completely blown out. The Rams, Stafford, I'm not a big fan of Stafford. I call him Stifford, Matt Stifford. I think down in Detroit, he was given a lot of credit for what? He had one season they made the playoffs, 11-5. If you're a great quarterback, it's like, Matt Stifford. I call him Matt Stifford, everybody, because I think he's a stiff. But Mr. Pick Six, by the way, we're going to start calling it the Stafford instead of the Pick Six, because he's thrown a lot of them this year. I think yesterday was his fourth. It's ridiculous. But anyways, they still got a lot of weaponry, a lot of firepower, and they would probably blow the Eagles out. But for a guy like him to be down in Detroit and have only one winning season, I mean, great quarterbacks can mask a lot of problems on both sides of the ball, believe it or not. So for him to be 11-5 one time and only made one playoff appearance down there is, to me, that's just, I'm not a big fan. But they'll beat the Eagles. Cardinals, I want no parts of them. I don't want no parts of the Cowboys again, especially after, this week. So we'll see what happens. A lot of different scenarios, but the big play of the game was the interception by McLeod, as I mentioned earlier. What a great grab. It looked like from, watching the game, at full speed that it was trapped, but after watching several different angles, replays, he got his both hands under the ball. It was a phenomenal play. And again, it was made by a guy who's been back there for a number of years, of KG veteran, who's been there, been through the battles here, won a Super Bowl. The only veteran back there that's been with this team, for a number of years now, and it was good for him. Congratulations to Nick Sirianni. His first year as a coach. A lot of people gave him a lot of shit, me included. Couldn't speak at the press conference, sound like a bumbling idiot, and everything. And I never even heard of him before. So I was like, who's this guy? I said, but you look back 22 years ago, 23 now, 99. Yeah, Andy Reid. No one ever heard of him. He was a quarterback coach under Mike Holmgren with Green Bay, but the Eagles gave him a shot. And we've seen what happened there. I mean, he never won a Super Bowl, but he won the 5 NFC Championship games, one Super Bowl appearance. So hey, why not give the young guy a shot? I just didn't like the fact with the rock paper scissors comments and all that stuff, mumbling and fumbling over words and first head coaching job in a big city, you're nervous. I'd be nervous too. So kudos to him and his staff. Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator. Good for them. I still think that if they had a quarterback, they would go deep into the playoffs with an Aaron Rodgers type, because he would make guys better around him. But we'll talk about that again after the season. Congratulations to Jalen Hurts. He's a fighter, man. I'm not a fan of him. I'm a fan of his heart. Appears to be a nice guy. Stood around yesterday with the fans when the fans fell through that rail and damn near killed Jalen Hurts. Good thing he was paying attention. Oh my God. There's lawsuits all over the place getting ready to happen for that because of that incident. Oh my God. But he seems like a really nice guy, Jalen Hurts. It's a shame. I wish he was better. These fans could love a guy like that. He's got all the talent in the world. He just doesn't have the arm strength and the accuracy, and But hey, look, next year he'll be here, and we got 3 picks. So yeah, maybe he'll improve his game more. I don't know. I mean, I like his heart. I'm just not a fan. I don't think he's the one that's going to take us back to the promised land again. But anyway, here's a scenario now for the playoffs. The Eagles are going to play either the Cardinals, Cowboys, Rams, or Tampa Bay. And it kind of looks like we're going to be playing Tampa Bay unless something crazy were to happen. All right, the Eagles-Cowboys game for Saturday night has been moved for Sunday has been moved to Saturday night on ESPN and ABC. That'll be an 8:20 start. They moved that game up because the 49ers are playing the Rams on Sunday, and if they would have moved that game to Saturday and left the Eagles for Sunday, then that game could have screwed up the playoff implications for the seeding for Eagles-Dallas, and the game might not have meant really that much, and you'd be stuck with New Orleans, and I believe they're playing Carolina. Actually, New Orleans is playing Atlanta, and no one wants to see that garbage. Certainly not me. But, all right. So, Dallas can no longer be the number 1 seed. Green Bay clinched that last night with a 37-10 drubbing of the Kirk Cousinless Minnesota Vikings. How do you go into a game with Sean Marion? Not the Sean Marion that used to play for the Phoenix Suns, people. Okay? In fact, I would have rather had Sean Marion from the Phoenix Suns starting last night at he's like 40-some years old than this Sean Marion. I mean, I don't understand these teams. You know, why don't you go out and get yourself a decent backup? Nick Foles. Nick fucking Foles. Big Dick Nick is the 3rd-string quarterback for the Chicago Bears, who had a spot start last week against Seattle and brought them down the field, played a phenomenal second half, and they win the game. I mean, sign a guy like him, put him in as backup. At least, like, if Kirk Cousins goes down, I mean, that's a game where you have a shot still to make the playoffs. You're 7-8. Look, it's going to be hard to win in Green Bay, okay? But you got to have a backup quarterback that at least gives you a chance. I mean, their star receiver, Jefferson, had 3 catches last night for something like 30 yards. I mean, the quarterback couldn't get him the ball. They were down the whole game in passing situations the whole time. And they can't even get him the ball. I don't understand. It's a playoff game, really, essentially. And you're going with you have Sean Marion as your backup quarterback. That's a disgrace. Nick Foles would have looked good last night for Minnesota. He would have fought you. They may have got beat, but they would have put up more than 10 points. I said 37-3. It's 37-10, 37-3, 10, 20, whatever it is. It wouldn't have mattered. Green Bay could have scored 50 last night if they really needed to. So, but at least if you had Nick Foles back there or some decent, even Blake Bortles, somebody back there that can throw the ball down the field, at least give you a chance to score. You're not winning the game, but at least fight. I mean, this is ridiculous. Some of these teams, they just boggle my mind with bringing in guys. They don't even have backup quarterbacks. Unbelievable. All right, now here we go with the playoff implications, the playoff possibilities. Right now, if the Eagles beat the Cowboys on Saturday night, then the Eagles, one of the scenarios would be, these are all if the Eagles beat the Cowboys on Saturday night. One of the scenarios would be Eagles-Cardinals. But only if the Eagles win, then the Panthers win. The Saints, Cardinals, and 49ers all win. That's one scenario. Let me repeat that in case you didn't understand that. Or you're like, what? Because I'm confused still as I'm reading this. Eagles would play the Cardinals if the Eagles beat the Cowboys on Saturday, and if the Saints, Panthers, Cardinals, and 49ers all win on Sunday. So that's how that looks. If you still don't understand, rewind the video and watch it. I'm probably going to have to do that too when I'm done this because I'll forget because my brain is mush. The Eagles win against the Cowboys. The second scenario is the Eagles would play the Rams if the Panthers, Seahawks, and 49ers win. Now, you look at who these teams are playing. Seahawks are playing Arizona on the road in Arizona. That line is 6.5 for Arizona. Unless Arizona decides to not play some guys. I think Arizona's still fighting for the number 2 seed with Tampa Bay. So it depends on whether they want to be 2 or 3. But that game, they're going to probably play their players. So I like Arizona to win that game. The 49ers are playing at the Rams. The Rams, again, are playing for a seeding. So I like the Rams in that game. Carolina is playing Tampa. Depends on whether Tampa's going to shut guys down, even though they're still playing for, the second seed. Which Brady will be like, I'm playing, because that's what he does. He plays. He don't care. Even when New England had it clinched by week 8. week 8. I'm being facetious. But even when New England had it clinched, 2-3 weeks before the season was over, like every year Brady played out. He played the string out. Because that's what football players do and athletes do. They play. They don't sit. They don't sit and wait. Like Andy Reid used to sit guys and rest guys the last 2 weeks of the year, and that's why the Eagles were so unprepared and rusty during the playoffs under his, watch. But anyway, New Orleans plays Atlanta, so that's the second scenario. So the Eagles will play the Rams if, again, they beat the Cowboys on Saturday night and the Panthers, Seahawks, and 49ers win. Now, if the Eagles lose to the Cowboys on Saturday night, then the Eagles would play the Cowboys in the third scenario, which I don't want to happen. Because this played out a couple years ago. 2009, the Eagles played the Cowboys the last regular season game of the year. They got beat. They ended up playing Dallas again in Dallas, and they ended up getting shut out. Those were the Deshaun Jackson and LaShawn McCoy, Michael Vick years. So don't. Actually, it was Donovan McNabb. It was the guitar hero. It was the guitar game. Sorry, not Michael Vick. It was the guitar game. But I don't want that scenario to happen. But it could happen if the Cowboys beat the Eagles Saturday. Then the Panthers, Seahawks, and 49ers win on Sunday. Then the Eagles would play the Cowboys. Please do not let that happen. Can't let it happen. Because I can see that scenario repeating itself. Then the Eagles, the fourth and final scenario, the Eagles will play the Rams. If the Cowboys win Saturday, then the Falcons and Rams would need to also win in order for the Eagles to play the Rams with that fourth scenario. Confusing? Yes, I'm confused. My head's spinning right now. I don't know. I don't even know what's going on here. All my paperwork, all the time preparing. I don't even know where everything's at. But, all right. My picks for the week. Last week, I gave you 3 games. I gave you Cincinnati plus 5.5. I gave you the Cardinals plus 5.5 at Dallas. Cincinnati plus 5.5 at home against Kansas City. And I gave you the Redskins home against the Eagles plus 4.5. I said all 3 of those games, those teams could win outright. But I said they would cover if they didn't. The Bengals won outright 34-31 in a fantastic game. I watched most of that game along with the Eagles. Joe Burrow, 900 and change and 9 touchdowns in the last 2 games. 977 yards and 9 touchdowns in the last 2 games. And they needed those 2 big wins to clinch this division and go into the playoffs. First time since Marv Lewis was their coach. Now let's see if they can win a first-round game, Cincinnati. Every time they've gotten there under Marv Lewis back in the old days, and they had Carson Palmer and John Kitna, they couldn't get by the first round. So I'm pretty sure with Joe Burrow, maybe not this year, but I'm pretty sure with Joe Burrow that not only will he be getting by the first round, he'll be winning multiple Super Bowls. So right now, we'll see how he does. Right now, the debate between Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. LA's got to win and need some help. The Chargers, on Sunday. So we'll see what happens there. So let's see if Herbert can, pick them up off the canvas. Had a big day yesterday against Denver. They needed that win. Second game from my picks of the week, which I like. I like the Redskins to cover the 4.5. Redskins played a great first half, and that was enough to cover 4.5 by a half a point, 20-16. So, they played a great game for the first half. Second half, like I said, when the Eagles started to run the ball and kept them off the field, then the rest was history. It was a little eerie down late in the game as they were driving. But again, like I said, McLeod comes up big, and the Eagles are in the playoffs. And finally, the Cardinals. I love this game too, outright. 3-0, baby. What more could you ask for? Also, like the Raiders plus 7.5, which that line eventually moved up to 9.5. I like them to cover against Indianapolis, and they did. So really, technically 4-0. But my main game was the Cardinals and the Bengals and the Eagles, my main games. The Cardinals coming off 3 losses in a row. Dallas just demolishing Washington. And Dallas has problems against pretty good teams at home. So, Dallas, I think they have, I'll tell you, Dallas is the same old Dallas. They have so much talent. And yet something always goes wrong late in the year. And that's my motto with certain guys, quarterbacks, and players, and teams. Something always goes wrong club. There's a lot of them out there. And we're going to do a show at some point, the something always goes wrong club, because, it's terrible. It's terrible to see these teams with all this talent. I mean, granted, it's the Cowboys. I love to see it with them. But, how does that happen every year? Different coaches, different players. I mean, it comes down to one guy, Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones wears thin by the end of the year on a lot of people. And I think what happens is that they get tentative, they get nervous, they choke. Tony Romo. I mean, another guy back in the day. I just think that when you play for an owner like that who demands greatness and the whole cowboy mystique, you're a cowboy, you're supposed to win every year. You're supposed to win every year. You're supposed to make the playoffs every year and have a shot to go to the Super Bowl every year, because they're America's team. They're America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. That's what they were anointed back in the 60s and 70s when they were playing the Steelers in the Super Bowl pretty much every year. Somebody fucking anointed the Dallas Cowboys America's team. Well, that's a big monkey on my back. If that were me out there playing for them, and I'm sure it's a monkey on all 53 of those players. You start off no pressure. You play easy slop teams. You blow out Washington. The Eagles early on were slop. Blow them out on Monday Night Football. But every year it just seems like they just fall apart come December. And this year it looks like the same thing. Now, maybe things will be different. You got some great players on defense, better players than before, but you had good defensive players before. You had good offensive players before. I don't know. I hope they lose. I hope they continue to lose. And I think they will. They may get 1 or 2 wins. They may even get to the NFC Championship game, but I don't see them. I don't see them getting to the Super Bowl. But stranger things can happen. Look at the Eagles a few years ago. So those were my picks yesterday. 3-0. So that was a good week. And we got all these games coming up for playoff implications this week. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a fun, exciting week. We were supposed to have the Todd Father on Thursday, but the Todd Father's come down with this Omicron virus. So he will be out. So I decided to do a show today, to go over last week's action. And I'm going to probably do a playoff show on Friday. If the Todd Father feels up to it and he's COVID, Omicron, Delta variant, flu, YouTube, Snapchat free, whatever the hell virus he has. Because I don't know what virus is running around out rampant out here. I really don't know. There's like 1,000 billions of them, variants. But I always thought that there were so many variants of so many different things, and nobody ever masked up all the years I lived. I'm almost 50. I never had a mask up, anything like that. Get boosters, get vaccines. There's variants to every flu, to every virus. But wake up, people. It's political. The midterms are coming. Sorry, got a little bit of a political rant there. Anyway, it is Philadelphia Sports Talk and more. So, all right, with that being said, all right, here's what I have to say. People are complaining about whether or not the fans that fell through that railing yesterday at the end of that Eagles game should be suing FedEx Field for that incident that happened. Now, I look at it like this. There's going to be lawsuits. Everybody sues everybody in this day and age. It's a shame. It happens. There's going to be people that are really seriously injured that are going to be suing. And there's going to be people that are not seriously injured, but appearing to be seriously injured and suing. Now, here's what I have to say. If it were me, okay, and if it were you, and don't lie out there, because you're lying, I hear you. Yep, I hear you, you're lying. You would definitely sue FedEx Field if you fell through, whether you got a little bump on your knee and was walking out of there perfectly fine, or you were seriously injured. I don't want to hear these people who I've known for years and years that are all of a sudden moral, they feel like they have morals now. And you say, oh, no, I would never sue. It takes away from just your all your morals and everything. And just, I would never do that. Yes, you would. You just say you wouldn't because it didn't happen to you. Okay? We all go through things in life where we say, oh, I would never do anything like that. Oh, my goodness gracious. Until it happens to you. Then when it happens to you, then it's a whole different ball game. Because I know if it were me, I'm suing the shit out of FedEx Field. And the people that run that stadium, own that stadium, I'm suing the shit out of them. Okay? Because if I'm there and I'm leaning over to try to high five, one of my favorite players, or even one of my non-favorite players, just to, say good game, congratulations, you just pretty much clinched a playoff spot, and I fall through, shit, I'm suing. I could have died. So for people out there that are going to say, oh, no, I would never do anything like that. Yes, you would. Simple as that. The majority of the people would. I'd say about 90 to 95%. Okay? So I don't want to hear this bullshit that, all of a sudden people have, conscience or morals and, because, these people, they would do the same thing. And they'll get paid. And quite frankly, in this day and age, with all these hardworking people out there that bust their balls on a daily basis and get up at 7 in the morning. Some people in my family that have worked for 50 fucking years and have got up at 3 a.m. in the morning and bust their balls for 12 hours in a factory, then got to drive all the way to fuck home to have the government, the IRS, take almost half your money. Okay? That's a total fucking joke. And no wonder why people in this country, okay, try to take a little piece of the pie and not report everything and do other stuff on the side. Because they got to give all their goddamn money to the government. It's a total disgrace. It's ridiculous. So, trust me, if I'm getting hit by a car, And I'm driving, I'm falling out of the car. Ah! Ah! I'm falling on the ground. That's me. Okay? I've been in accidents. I've gotten hit. Got hit by a cop. Okay? Sued the Philadelphia police force. The city. Won that. Got in another accident. Okay? And took the lady who hit me, took care of me. That's what you have to do. What am I going to say? I got a little aches and pains. I'm all right. No. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do. It's as simple as that. So, for anyone out there who says they wouldn't sue, yeah, go pound sand up your ass. You're full of shit. And you know who you are. All right, anyway. Flyers lose to the Kings 6-3. Another slow start the other night. They hung around a little bit after being down 4-1. They tried to make a slight comeback, but they end up losing 6-3. At least they fought to come back. They actually, outshot the Kings in the game, but first period it was another slow start. So it is what it is. They want a nice little run, So hopefully they can come back and beat the Ducks tomorrow night, which will be on at 10 o'clock on Comcast Sportsnet. Please join the Flyers. Sixers, last time we talked, Thursday, I said the Sixers had to beat Brooklyn on the road. I said, or at least give a good showing. I said I'm tired of them beating up the slop and even sometimes losing to the slop teams. And, you're playing a real test. You're playing teams with superstars. And, look, you only have one now. You really only had one. Simmons wasn't a superstar, but you only have one all-star now. And, he's been carrying this team. He's been carrying this team like I've never seen, anybody carry a team, maybe probably since Moses Malone carried the Sixers in 82, 83, or Charles Barkley. But I'd have to say Moses Malone. When we're talking, when I'm talking carrying a team that guys I haven't seen carry a team before, I'm talking about centers. Can't think of the last center really that could carry a team here other than Moses Malone. If we wouldn't have picked up Moses Malone in 82 or 82, 83 season from the Houston Rockets, Sixers would still be waiting for a championship since 1966, 67, back in the Wilt days. Because, when the ABA merged with the NBA, we received Dr. J in 1976 and from Denver. So, or no, it wasn't Denver. It was either Denver or New York. But anyway, and they made multiple finals appearances, with Dr. J. And even though he was like, the high flyer, Dr. Duncanstein, which was Darryl Dawkins, but he was a high flyer, dunker, Dr. J. They couldn't get over the hump, couldn't get to the promised land until they picked up Moses Malone from Houston, and just couldn't do it with Caldwell Jones and Darryl Dawkins. So Moses Malone was the last great center here. I can't really think of any other centers. You had Mike Jaminski, Dikembe Mutombo they brought in, from Atlanta in 01. When they had to unload on Theo Ratliff in a big deal, to try to get, a big center to, shut down Shaq, or at least try to contain him. You're not shutting down Shaq, but, other than that, I can't really think. Rick Mahorn. There's really no other big name centers, other than Moses Malone until Embiid came along. So, it's one of those things. He's carrying you right now. They went into Brooklyn and beat him 110-102, and it was even at the end of the game was stirring up some shit with Kevin Durant. Apparently what happened before when they were here and they beat the Sixers after the Sixers blew another fourth quarter lead, double-digit lead a couple months ago, Durant was waving everybody goodbye. Beat it, get out of here. And it was all fun and games. But see, you got to watch what you do. Because that shit comes back to haunt everyone. You want to start taunting people. I brought this up on a show a couple weeks ago. You want to start taunting people, taunting other players. Yeah, it's fun and games and everything, but prepared. What goes around comes around, and that came around. And Embiid did it, and it was great to see. It's a big win. Maxey had 25, 7 and 4. Embiid, led the way with 34 and 7. Durant and Harden, they're really the only two guys that, they're going to get theirs. They're just great players. Durant, 33, 6 and 4. Harden with the triple-double, 33, 14 and 10. Sixers really won the game. If you watched it, they won the game from the arc. They were 13 of 32 from the three-point line, whereas the Nets were 7 for 27. So I'm all in favor of moving the three-point line back another 3 to 4 feet. Instead of 23-9, make it 27-9. Because there's too many threes in the game today. And I don't like seeing 7-footers shooting threes. It just takes away from everything. Those guys like Embiid should be down low. They should be down low and staying there. Embiid, if he just parks his ass in the post and gets the ball 75% of the time, he's going to average 35 a game with 20 rebounds. But unfortunately, the people from Golden State a few years back had to ruin it for everybody because they jacked up 60, 73s a game. So all these teams around the league now just decide, all right, we're going to start shooting 30, 43s a game. Even teams that don't even have good shooters. It's a disgrace. Let's go back to old school basketball. Let's go, play down low. Let's get the physicality back into the game. You don't want fights. You want some hard fouls. You want some back and forth. It's a buddy league now. Everybody's friends with everybody. If you go on YouTube and you see Sixers, fight Nets and Durant. Embiid fights Durant. I watched the game. There's no fight. It's all clickbait, but some people believe that shit. They think, oh, that was a fight. Oh, yeah, they were arguing. Yeah, that's what they were doing. They were arguing. They were having a little bit of fun arguing, there was no fight. It's a disgrace. What you see, the shit that goes on. It's too much of a buddy league. It's fixed. LeBron James runs the league, and he'll continue to run the league until they get him the hell out of there. Listen, Lakers are 19 and 19 right now. They won last night, but listen, Westbrook, LeBron, Carmelo Anthony are all over the hill. LeBron is playing at a super high level for 37 years old. The guy, he say what you want. I call him the fraud, James, because he's a fraud. Because down the stretch, he wants no part of the ball to go to the line. He won't drive to the basket. He'll settle for the fadeaway three or the fadeaway shot. And he's been like that. He's always faded away at the end of games. Case in point, Kyrie hitting the three in 2016 when they beat Golden State and won the NBA Finals. But he doesn't. He. That's why I call him a fraud. But he's 37 years old, so his stats are tremendous. He's still a tremendous basketball player. Don't get me wrong, but he's not the same. These last 3 years, he's been injury prone. Westbrook is what he is. He's a stat hound. He's not a guy who's going to win you a championship. Yep, he proved that in Oklahoma City. You had him, Durant, and Harden, and Steven Adams for a year until Harden left, and then Durant. You had your shot there. They really should. In 2012, they should have beat Miami. They won game one, and then they fell apart. So, but they're done, the Lakers. They're done. They're old. Carmelo Anthony shouldn't even still be in the league. Anthony Davis, who's their superstar on that team, he's the best player on that team, quite frankly. And, the problem with that is he's always injured. And LeBron James, crunch time, LeBron's like, all right, give me the ball and everybody move out of the way. Well, you're not Michael Jordan. You're not Michael Jeffrey Jordan, buddy. You're LeBron James. Michael Jordan's here. You're here. You think you're here. You actually you might even think you're here. You're not. You're here and you always will be here. Okay? I know you've been to a lot of NBA finals, LeBron, LaFraud. But it's a different basketball game now. Over the last 15 years, the game's not physical anymore. The game stopped being physical probably 0-2, right before you came into the league. Allen Iverson would drive the lane and get smashed every time. Get right back up. Continue to do it. Not afraid to go to the free throw line in crunch situations. Not afraid to keep shooting. You know? I mean, that guy has more heart, Allen Iverson, even though he didn't like to practice, than you'll ever have. You're afraid to go to the free throw line every game. You don't want to go to the line with 2 minutes left in the game. And you start to pull up short. I've seen it numerous times. I tried to be a fan of yours. I really did. I watched every game that you played since you came in the league up until about 2 years ago. And, you start going on these political rants. You couldn't keep politics out of it. You felt like you had the platform to say whatever you want. Sure, I believe in freedom of speech. But I don't want to hear you spew politics and what this person should do or that person should do or that team should do, because worry about your own goddamn team. Don't worry about anybody else's team. Don't worry about politics. I'm looking to get away from that shit when I'm watching a sporting event. Now, if I want to talk about it on my show, which I will sporadically because it's Philadelphia Sports Talk and More, I'll do that. But I'll keep it to a bare minimum, 5 or 10 minutes, if that, than the rest of sports. I'm not going to sit here and go on a political rant. It's terrible. But LeBron James, hopefully he'll be out of the league soon, and we could just get rid of his ass. But I have a feeling that he's going to own a team because that's what he wants to do. And he'll be hanging around for a long time. And listen, Michael Jordan was the greatest basketball player that I've ever seen play, and the worst owner of a franchise I've ever seen own a team. So, might be different for LeBron. He might be the worst owner, or he might be the best owner. So, but it looks like we're going to see LeBron around for a very long time after basketball. But I hope not. So, all right, let's go over some recap of some games. Start to wind this sucker down. Monday Night Football tonight, Cleveland and the Steelers. All right, the line dropped. The line was originally, Cleveland was favored 3.5. With COVID and some injuries going around on both sides of the ball, the line is now dropped to Pittsburgh being favored by 2.5. Originally, I took Pittsburgh in a pool that I play, plus the 3.5. I still think Pittsburgh is going to cover the 3.5. But I think Cleveland's going to cover the 2.5. And I'm going to win both. I think Cleveland wins 23-20. I think they win by 3 points. And I'll win by half a point on the one. And then I'll win on this as well. With the 2.5, with the new line. So, that's my pick for tonight. I think Cleveland's due. They've been struggling. Baker Mayfield has to come through. They still got playoff implications on the line here. As far as I know. That's one thing I didn't do the research on, and that's my mistake. Apologize for that. But I'm pretty sure they're 7-8. They win the last two. I think they got a shot to get in with some help. But that may have ended yesterday with the loss by actually the win by Cincinnati. But they still might have an outside shot because the Ravens lost, and you got Pittsburgh involved in it still. But tonight's a big game, and I think Cleveland's going to win this game, but only by 3. So for anyone betting out there, you might want to take a look at that. Depending on what site you use or what you do, take a look and see what your line is, and take my advice. So we'll see what happens. Games of significance yesterday. Cincinnati 34, Kansas City 31. Kansas City winning 8 in a row going into that game. Cincinnati looking to clinch the division for the first time in close to 10 years under Marv Lewis. Fantastic game. I watched that whole game. Flipped back and forth to the Eagles a little bit, but Jamar Chase is just phenomenal. The guy, incredible. I mean, he had 200 and 36 yards catching, 3 touchdowns. They couldn't cover him. 10 receptions. Again, I told you, Burrow, 30 of 39, 446, 4 touchdowns, 971 yards and 9 touchdowns the last 2 games. I mean, you're gonna. That's what you got to do against Kansas City. You got to go tit for tat. You're not stopping them a lot. Although in the second half you did only leave up 3 points to them, which was great. Most of it was you kept the time of possession on your side. You made some key stops though when Kansas City did have the ball. Held on to a field goal in the second half. But what a great performance by the Bengals, and especially Chase and Burrow again. I mean, Jamar Chase is just phenomenal. I'm going to make this prediction, everyone. Jamar Chase is going to go down as the greatest wide receiver to ever play this game. Now, it's going to have an asterisk because we all know it's Jerry Rice, but he's going to demolish all them records, because barring injury. Because the way the game's played now, you can't, really put your hands on the receivers much. The players are faster. The players are better. And, it's just not as physical. They just don't let you do it anymore. See, back in the old days, you can grab and pull, all the way down the field pretty much, unless, it was blatant. It was really, really a lot of hands-on. Today, you can't do that. You can put your hands on a guy up at the line of scrimmage within the first couple yards. I think it's 5 yards. But then after that, then you got to let him go. And, you really can't jostle and in hand fight really that much on the outside. And a lot of these corners, they don't see the speed factor of these receivers. They're so fast. They run 4.2s, 4.3s, and so do the corners. But you're when you're backing up, and then you got to go side, run side to side with these receivers. Receivers get past you. You have to turn your head around. And a lot of D-backs can't do that. A lot of corners can't do that. They're there and they're like beat most of the time. They go stick their hands up and they're blocking the view and they're blocking the receiver from able to making the grab. So there's a lot of pass interferences being called, and it's just and a lot of that has to do with practice time. Because the players are bigger and all of them are on some kind of juice. And if not juice, some kind of all these multiple supplements that they concoct up. So they're on something. So, and the NFL knows it, but they let them get away with it because, it's all about money. So, so what they do, they dumb the game down. They make it easy. They make it easier on the players, even though it's still a physical sport. It's not as physical as it was in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. Back in the day, you could cut a quarterback's legs out. You could just strangle a quarterback. Ron Jaworski got damn near murdered every 2 games by Lawrence Taylor, at least 3 or 4 times in a game. Literally just murdered. And, you do that today. You sack a quarterback today, but sack a quarterback like LT the way he sacked Jaworski, you're getting flagged. So, but that's the way it is. But Jamar Chase, mark this down. He will break all of Jerry Rice's records. He's only 21 years old, and he's such a stud. He really is. I can't wait to see who they play in the playoffs. I can't wait. I can't wait to see Joe Burrow, the next mini Joe Montana. He's going to be the face of the league, in the next upcoming years. I can't wait. All right. The Vegas Raiders walk into Indianapolis and win 23-20. Carson Wentz, and how big that game is that kept the Raiders' playoff hopes alive. So the Raiders got to win next week, and the Colts got to lose next week. They're in. The Colts next week, though, they're playing Indianapolis, I believe. And, Colts will probably blow them out. So, that's actually the game, the Colts and the Jags. So, their playoff hopes are slim, the Raiders, but there's still a shot. Jacksonville beat Buffalo early in the season, 9-6. Buffalo hasn't been playing well all year. They've been up and down. So, we'll have to see what happens there. But I fully expect the Colts to win that game and make the playoffs. But crazier and stranger things have happened. But the Raiders played well yesterday and won 23-20. Derek Carr, 24-31, 255 yards. The big story of the day, Tampa Bay and Tom Terrific down 24-10 late in the third quarter. As they are driving, Antonio Brown decides to quit on his team, especially Tom Brady, the guy who basically saved him. I guess he was upset he only caught 3 balls for 36 yards when last week he caught 10 for 92. Actually, 10 for 102. That's what happens when you're a selfish guy and have mental problems. Look, mental illness is something that is very serious, and I know a lot about. But when you take on a guy like that, you're taking on a headache, a possible headache, and you gotta stick to your guns. Once the guy screws up once, and you say if he screws up once, he's gone, and then you let him stay. That's a problem, because he's gonna think he can do anything. But after that incident yesterday, that was a disgrace, But I guess he felt he wasn't getting enough looks. They're losing to the lowly Jets, and look, this is the National Football League, and look, every team in the National Football League, the worst team in the National Football League, okay, which is the Jacksonville Jags, the Detroit Lions, the New York Jets. There's a lot of them, okay? They will destroy the best college team. So that's how good these players are that play in this league. So Any Given Sunday, they made a movie, Any Given Sunday. That's why they call it Any Given Sunday. Because on Any Given Sunday, the Jets, okay, and they've already done it this year. The Jets could beat Tampa Bay. Okay? And they almost did. They did it to Tennessee earlier in the year. They have 4 wins. Detroit, same thing with them. The other 2 slot teams. Jacksonville, you look at it, the other one's the Giants. On Any Given Sunday, because these are professional athletes, they can go into a stadium, on the road, or at home. Most likely it would be at home, and upset a really good team. Even a team with Super Bowl aspirations again. Now, granted, Tampa Bay is banged up on both sides of the ball, as we discussed. And, it's going to be tough for them to repeat. And especially, what happened yesterday with Antonio Brown, that's a disgrace. I've never seen anything like that in my life in any sport. That's just insane. Here's a guy he's got a lot of problems, and hopefully he can get the help that he needs. But I'll tell you one thing, he'll never play, in the NFL ever again. And if he does, good luck to that team who brings him on. Oh, my God. But Brady, 34-50, 410 yards, 3 touchdowns. The guy, 44 years old. I got to start doing that TB12. Jesus Christ. This guy at old age, he looks like he's 30. Incredible. He just doesn't stop. Mike Evans with a touchdown catch. Brady did it again. He's just unbelievable. But, he's Tom Brady. And everybody on Any Given Sunday, no matter whether you're Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Joe Blow, whoever you are, it's the National Football League. So, you could lose. So that was that game. And you had one of my picks that we discussed earlier. Arizona outright over Dallas, 25-22. Dallas tried to make a little late game comeback, but it was for naught when Arizona drove right down and then ran the clock out. Murray, 26-38 for 263 yards and 2 touchdowns. Zach Ertz, former Eagle Zach Ertz, congratulations to you, sir. Hopefully, we'll see you in the second or third round of the playoffs. He had 7 catches for 41 yards, so it was kind of a win-win situation. Zach Ertz, he had to pass the torch to, Dallas Goedert. Honestly, I'd still rather have Zach Ertz. Dallas got him. Good, not great. Zach Ertz is great. Helped us win a Super Bowl. Game-winning Super Bowl touchdown, Zach Ertz. Let's not forget that. We still love you here, Zach. Let's hope you move on and get very far with Arizona. As long as you don't beat us. I'd rather stay away from you. Prescott, 24-38 for 226 yards, 3 touchdowns, fumbled 3 times, lost 1. I said earlier, Zach Prescott, one of those guys, some of these guys, again, something always goes wrong. And again, yesterday, he fumbled the ball. He just doesn't hold it securely at times. It's trouble at home against good teams. It is what it is. He's not a guy that I think that's going to lead a team right now to a Super Bowl, even with all that talent I discussed earlier. But stranger things have happened. I think the longer, he plays, I think Brady, as long as he's in the NFC, Rodgers may go to the AFC if he leaves Green Bay. As long as he's in the NFC, those are really the only two in the NFC that you really would have to worry about as far as getting by them. You got young up-and-comers like Kyler Murray, I'm sorry. Matt Stafford, he is what he is. Stifford, I call him, but, we'll see what happens. But I just don't see Dallas, ever winning the Super Bowl again, especially now. As long as Jerry Jones is alive, because he's the main problem, and especially with this quarterback. Green Bay destroyed the hopes of the Minnesota Vikings last night on Sunday Night Football, 37-10. Rodgers 29-38 for 288 and 2 touchdowns. Devontae Adams 11 for 136 and 1 touchdown. I mean, what a great combination that is. Aaron Rodgers, you could also put him in that field of players. Something always goes wrong, in certain games, championship games, because here's a guy with all that talent, and he's great. I love Aaron Rodgers. I wish we had him. But to only be in one Super Bowl and win one Super Bowl with all the talent and the teams that he's had over the years, that's a disgrace. He should at least have been to 2 or 3 or 4 by now. But, hey, I'd still rather have him on my team. Discount double check. Heavyweight champion of the world. And coronavirus survivor. Let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, he was immunized. We are protected by HIPAA. Just because the NFL, treats vaccinated and unvaccinated players differently, which is a disgrace. You still have HIPAA rights. So, yeah, they destroyed the hopes of the Minnesota Vikings last night, 37-10. I had Green Bay. I went 10-5 on my weekly pool. Should have really been 11-4. I changed the Ravens game. The line went from 3.5, which I had them because in my pool it's locked in at 3.5. So I had them, and then when I saw the real line go up to 7.5, I switched, and I paid for it. The Rams winning that game by a point. If I'd have just stayed where I was at, I would have been all right. But it's okay. If I get tonight's game, I took the Steelers, like I said, and 3.5 on mine. I'll get 11 wins for the week. 11-5 against the spread. Top 11 in the pool that I'm in, and I'm usually in the top 10 to 15 in this pool that I'm in against the spread every year. Where there's well over 200 people. It's a fantastic pool. I'm very good at it. I'm very good against lines, trends, different things like that. I do my research, and I do well with it. And we'll see what happens. So I want to thank everyone for who's watched the show, listening, tuning in, and I just want to say I'm glad everybody made it safe through the new year. And, hopefully the Todd father gets well and he's back here soon, so we can get him back on board. And, have a great rest of the day. If it's snowing in your area, be safe. And God bless.